So, today let us go through the second stage of reorganization of states after independence of India. The second phase of integration focused on reorganizing and consolidating the numerous princely state into larger administrative unit. This process was more complex in the initial accession because it required merging states with neighborhood provinces or combining them into new unions such as Kathiawar Union, Vindhya Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Himachal Pradesh. While some states like Hyderabad, Mysore, and Travancore, Cochin initially retained their old boundaries. Despite the challenges, this large scale restructuring was completed within a year. Hundreds of small princely states were integrated into five major unions, which consisted of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Pepsu, that is Patiala and East Punjab States Union, Saurashtra, Travancore, Cochin, while Mysore, Hyderabad, and Jammu and Kashmir continued as separate state. This swift and effective political unification of the country after independence stands as one of these Sardar Patel's greatest accomplishment. So basically, what happens is Sardar Patel is able to uh, integrate these states and consolidate them into larger administrative units. If you remember, in last part we had almost 563 states. So it is impossible for a country like India to administer these small units. That's why they started combining those small units into larger administrative units. Uh, for example, you can see here that Patiala and West and East Punjab states were combined together to be known as PEPSU. And then, of course, Madhya Pradesh also consisted of several smaller units, and Madhya Pradesh became one consolidated larger administrative unit. Similarly, with Rajasthan, then with Saurashtra, and then Travancore, Cochin, etc. However, this three states, that is Mysore, Hyderabad, and Jammu and Kashmir, did not go any kind of consolidation. They remained independent and separate as before. They had acceded to the Indian Union, still they remain separated. That is, their consolidation did not take place. Their boundaries were still the same. Now let us talk about reorganization of India. At independence in 1947, India had 571 princely states that were merged into 27 units based on political and historical factors, not linguistic or cultural identities. This arrangement was only temporary given India's multilingual character. There soon emerged a need for permanent linguistic reorganization. The Congress had promised in 1920 that major linguistic group would get their own provinces after independence, but it did not immediately act on this commitment. Post partition, Prime Minister Nehru feared that reorganizing state on linguistic lines might further fragment the nation. Despite this hesitation, strong popular movement emerged demanding linguistic states such as Aikya Kerala movement, Samyukta Maharashtra movement, and Vishalalandara movement to examine the issue. The Constituent Assembly set up the Linguistic Province Commission in 1948 under Justice S.K. Dhar to assess the feasibility and desirability of linguistic provinces. So, if we talk about this slide, so after independence, India had 571 princely states. Um, Sardar Patel consolidated these 571 smaller units into 27 units, but these consolidations were based on political and historical factor. Linguistic or cultural identities were not taken into consideration, although Congress had promised in 1920 that if these small units were to be consolidated, their consolidation would be on the basis of linguistic pattern. But soon after independence, it did not act immediately on this commitment. So what happens is, Prime Minister Nehru feared that if he reorganizes the state on linguistic lines, so it might further fragment the nation because already India had seen a partition based on communal lines. So he feared that if he reorganizes the state based on linguistic lines, so there might be further fragmentation. For example, Tamilians might demand a separate state, uh, Telugu people might demand a separate state, and Oriya speaking people might demand a separate state. Similarly, Bengalis might demand a separate state. So he did not favored division based on linguistic line. Rather, the divisions were made on political and historical factors. Now, what happens is after these consolidation of 571 princely states into 27 units, people started carrying out popular movement for demand of linguistic states. For example, this Kerala movement and Sanyukta Maharashtra movement. So all these movements started taking place. So to examine the issue, Constituent Assembly set up a linguistic province commission because they wanted to access the feasibility and desirability of linguistic province. So this linguistic province commission was set up in 1948 under Justice S.K. Dhar. Now let's move forward. So this S.K. Dhar Commission of 1948, they advised against the step at the time, for it might threaten national unity and also be administratively inconvenient. Consequently, the Constituent Assembly decided not to incorporate the linguistic principle in the constitution. So, S.K. Dhar Commission was set up in 1948. It was set up to check the feasibility of division of states on the basis of linguistic lines. However, the commission advised against um, consolidation of states on the basis of linguistic lines, uh, because they also feared that if such a consolidation takes place, it might threaten the national unity. The same was feared by Jawaharlal Nehru. Hence, Constituent Assembly decided not to incorporate the linguistic principle in the constitution. Now let's move forward. We come to JPV Committee 1948. While Dhar Committee recommended, public opinion was not satisfied, especially in South, and the problem remained politically alive. To appease the vocal votaries of linguistic states, the Congress appointed a committee, that is JPV, in December 1948, consisting of Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, and Pattabhai Sitaramaiah, President of Congress, to examine the question afresh. This committee advised against creation of linguistic state for the time being, emphasizing unity, national security, and economic development as the need of the hour. So, as we saw in the last slide, S.K. Dhar Commission recommended against division on linguistic line. Then again, already people were leading popular movements for integration on the basis of linguistic lines. So, next committee was to be formed, that is JVP Committee, in 1948 itself, because people in South India, especially, they were not satisfied with the current political and historical basis of division of states. So, to appease the vocal votaries of linguistic states, that is, to um, appease the vocal votaries of South India especially, the Congress appointed a committee, which is JPV Committee. The committee consisted of Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, and Pattabhai Sitaramaiah. So he was from South India. So basically, South India was also given a representation. The President of Congress at the time. So this question was re-examined again without considering the recommendation of S. Kedar Committee. But this committee, that is JPV Committee, also advised against creation of linguistic state, because they also feared the same thing, that is, it could affect the national unity, national security, and economic development. And it is not the need of the hour, because at present economic development was a main agenda, and to secure the national integrity and unity was also their main agenda. So again, State Reorganization Commission was set up in August 1953. The then PM Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru appointed the states. SRC widely accepted language as foundation for state reorganization. It did, however, reject the theory of one language, one state. The SRC recommended the conversion of four kinds of state into two category state and union territories, and the merger of erstwhile Part B states of Hyderabad with Andhra. So what happens is, two commissions rejected consolidation on the basis of linguistic lines, that is S.K. Dhar Committee and JVP Commission. Then third one came, that is State Reorganization Commission, which was constituted in August 1953 by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru itself. So this commission accepted language as foundation for state reorganization, but it rejected the theory कि अगर एक state है तो एक language होगा. And this committee also recommended conversion of four states into two categories, states and union territories. मतलब इन्होंने रिकमेंड कर दिया कि आप जितने भी स्टेट्स हैं, जैसे पहले पार्ट ए, पार्ट बी, पार्ट सी, पार्ट डी, ऐसे स्टेट्स को डिवाइड किया था सरदार पटेल ने. अब उसने बोल दिया कि आप उसको दो कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड कर दो, एक को स्टेट्स बना दो और जो यूनिट्स ऐसे हैं मतलब जिसको स्पेशल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव केयर की ज़रूरत है उसको यूनियन टेरिटरीज बना दो. और उन्होंने ये भी बोला कि वो जो हैदराबाद का स्टेट है, मतलब हैदराबाद और मैसूर और जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, वी रेड अबाउट इट, their reorganization did not take place, their boundaries were still the same. So he advised that this part B state of Hyderabad should be merged with Andhra Pradesh. However, no recommendation was made in respect of Jammu and Kashmir and Mysore as of now. Now, State Reorganization Act, why was it? Why did it take place basically? So it was to give effect to the scheme of reorganization. The State Reorganization Act 1956 was enacted by Parliament, under which article? Article 4 of the Constitution of India. Then 7th Constitutional Amendment took place. To implement the State Reorganization Act, the Constitution introduced 7th Constitutional Amendment, which received the Indian President assent on October 19, 1956. Then what happens is, as per the State Reorganization Commission's recommendation, Part A, B, and D were abolished. This amendment not only resulted in formation of new states by altering the areas and boundaries of the then existing state, but it also resulted in abolition of Part A, B, and C states and the designation of certain areas and union territories. As we discussed in last slide, कि मतलब ये जो स्टेट रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन कमीशन था, इसने पार्ट ए, बी, सी, डी स्टेट्स को अबॉलिश करने बोल दिया, दो टाइप का स्टेट बनाने को बोला, एक स्टेट होगा और एक यूनियन टेरिटरी होगा. यूनियन टेरिटरी वो एरियाज होंगे जिसको स्पेशल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव केयर की ज़रूरत है, और बाकी के स्टेट्स पार्ट नॉर्मल स्टेट्स हो गए. द स्टेट रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक्ट 1956 रिड्यूस्ड द नंबर ऑफ स्टेट्स फ्रॉम 27 to 14. पहले हमने देखो एक जगह स्लाइड में देखा था कि 571 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स को, यहाँ पे देखो 571 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स को 27 यूनिट्स में रिड्यूस किया गया था. अब स्टेट रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन कमीशन के बाद इसी 571 स्टेट्स को 27 स्टेट्स को 14 में रिड्यूस कर दिया गया. अब जो स्टेट्स थे वो थे आंध्र प्रदेश, असम, बिहार, बॉम्बे, जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, केरला, मध्य प्रदेश, मद्रास, मैसूर, उड़ीसा, पंजाब, राजस्थान, उत्तर प्रदेश एंड वेस्ट बंगाल. The 6 union territories were Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Delhi, Himachal Pradesh. See, Himachal Pradesh was initially a union territory and after some time it gained statehood. Then Lakshadweep, Minicoy and Amindevi Islands, Manipur and Tripura. These two were also union territories beforehand. So SRC opposed the division of Bombay and Punjab. इन्होंने देखो रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो करवाया, लेकिन बॉम्बे और पंजाब का डिवीजन को इन्होंने अपोज किया. Therefore, Maharashtra, where massive rioting occurred, was the location with the strongest response to SRC report. क्योंकि ये वाला तो डिवीजन इन्होंने अपोज कर दिया, इसलिए सबसे ज़्यादा रायट्स महाराष्ट्र में हुए थे. अब रीजन्स बिहाइंड रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन, लेट अस look at some points. First of all, it is emotional integration of different languages group. मतलब वही था कि इमोशनल इंटीग्रेशन चाहिए था, मतलब सेम लैंग्वेज वाले लोगों को सेम स्टेट में आना था. लिंग्विस्टिकली होमोजीनियस यूनिट, जो कि रीज़न था स्टेट रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन कमीशन के इनैक्टमेंट का. स्टेट लेवल एलिवेशन, वेर इट शुड बी एबल टू एंजॉय द पावर्स एंड फैसिलिटीज दैट दे बिलीव दे वर डिनाइड. राइजिंग कॉन्शियसनेस अमंग एथनिक माइनॉरिटीज़, easier consolidation of demands, widespread sense of discrimination. Ethnic minority community that are aggregated developed a sense of discrimination. मतलब कि अगर जब तक रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं हुआ था तो एथनिक कम्युनिटी को लग रहा था कि उनके साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है, इसीलिए लिंग्विस्टिक बेसिस पे रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन, एथनिक बेसिस पे रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन करना बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया था. इकोनॉमिक बैकवर्डनेस, एग्जाम्पल फॉर्मेशन ऑफ छत्तीसगढ़. अब कुछ स्टेट्स ऐसे थे जो कि इकोनॉमिकली बैकवर्ड एरियाज थे. मान लो किसी एक स्टेट में अटैच रहेगा कोई इकोनॉमिकली बैकवर्ड एरिया, तो वो पूरे स्टेट को पुल डाउन करेगा, इसीलिए इकोनॉमिकली बैकवर्ड एरिया को एक अलग स्टेट में रीऑर्गेनाइज किया गया और उसको स्पेशल अटेंशन दिया गया। अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ फ्यूअर अपॉर्चुनिटीज़, अगर बड़ा यूनिट है तो वहाँ पे फ्यूअर अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ अवेलेबल थे, और अगर उसको लिंग्विस्टिकली डिवाइड किया गया तो पीपल के स्पेशल नीड को केटर कर पा रहा था गवर्नमेंट। सच मूवमेंट गेन ट्रांस अट्रैक्शन व्हेन दे आर लेड बाय इफेक्टिव एंड पावरफुल लीडर्स। ऑफकोर्स ये जो पूरा मूवमेंट था ये पीपल लेड मूवमेंट था, इसी कारण से स्टेट रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन कमीशंस को आना पड़ा और लिंग्विस्टिक बेसिस पे स्टेट का रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन हुआ। अब चैलेंजेस क्या था? States from which new states demands emerged have not been very positive towards them because it indicates a failure on the part of state government to tackle the issue of prevalent regional inequalities, lack of success to provide welfare and equal opportunities to its entire people within the state. Further bifurcation would mean the division of monetary resources, water resources, assets, natural resource and so on. Of course जब division होगा तो वापस से assets और natural resources का division भी होगा. This bifurcation of state would hit hard on economy of state. जैसे बिहार झारखंड का डिवीजन हुआ तो मैक्सिमम सारा नेचुरल रिसोर्स झारखंड के पास चला गया, इससे बिहार के इकोनॉमी को बहुत ज़्यादा लॉस हुआ. थ्रेट्स ऑफ नेशनल यूनिटी, सन ऑफ सॉइल कॉन्सेप्ट टू फॉर्म दी स्टेट. अब जैसे नेशनल यूनिटी ऑफ कोर्स थ्रेटन होगा, जैसे तुम महाराष्ट्र में देखो जब भी वहाँ पे किसी दूसरे स्टेट के लोग जाते हैं तो उनको थ्रेटन किया जाता है टू स्पीक मराठी. मतलब बहुत सारे इश्यूज़ होते हैं नॉर्मली जो आप सोशल मीडिया पे देख सकते हो. इट इज़ बेसिकली बिकॉज ऑफ सन ऑफ दी सॉइल कॉन्सेप्ट, क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि जो मराठी बोलते हैं वो लोग महाराष्ट्र के हैं, वो सन ऑफ सॉइल है, मतलब वहाँ से बिलोंग करते हैं और सारे रिसोर्सेज उनके लिए होने चाहिए. सच अ डिविजन वुड ऑल्सो हैव एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन बार्गेनिंग पावर ऑफ स्टेट एट द सेंटर. मतलब अब स्टेट जैसे बिहार के पास स्पेशल पैकेजेस उसको मिलते हैं क्योंकि उसका बार्गेनिंग पावर बढ़ गया है, क्योंकि उसको डेवलपमेंट में हेल्प चाहिए. झारखंड का कंपैरेटिवली बार्गेनिंग पावर कम हो गया. इन इंडिया द नंबर ऑफ सीट्स एलोकेटेड टू स्टेट्स डिपेंड्स ऑन देयर साइज और पॉपुलेशन. हाँ देखो, स्टेट अगर छोटा है तो पॉपुलेशन कम होगा वहाँ पे, तो उसको सीट्स भी पार्लियामेंट में कम एलोकेट होंगे. बड़े स्टेट के लिए ज़्यादा एलोकेशन होगा क्योंकि नॉर्मली उसका पॉपुलेशन ज़्यादा होगा. तो स्टेट को अगर हम वापस से डिवाइड करते हैं तो दिस प्रॉब्लम विल ऑल्सो इमर्ज. एम्पेरिकल एविडेंस डज नॉट सपोर्ट द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ स्मॉल स्टेट्स. नॉर्मली स्मॉल स्टेट को भी फेवर नहीं करेगा बनना, सबको ज़्यादा एरिया चाहिए. द डिविजन ऑफ पॉपुलेशन वुड हर्ट द नंबर ऑफ MPs गोइंग टू द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट, जो हमने ऑलरेडी ऊपर पॉइंट डिस्कस कर लिया. सो दैट्स ऑल. आई होप if you watch part 1 and then proceed to part 2. So this is basically what is in the syllabus, reorganization thing. So this entire slides we have discussed post independence consolidation, and this is exactly what the syllabus demands. Normally question does not come from this area, very few questions have come up, and it is basically ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ स्टेट, या फिर अभी भी जो रीऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हुए जा रहे हैं जैसे लिंग्विस्टिक लेवल पे. रिसेंट में आप तेलंगाना का डिवीज़न देखो आंध्र प्रदेश से 2015 के अराउंड, या फिर और भी स्टेट्स जो डिवीज़न की मांग करते हैं, जैसे वेस्ट बंगाल वाला इशू है, गोरखालैंड का मांग है, मराठावाद. तो ये सारे डिविजन्स की अभी भी जो डिमांड्स है पीपल की, तो ये अभी भी बता रहा है कि हमने जो भी कंसोलिडेशन पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस किया तो है, बट पीपल आर नॉट सेटिस्फाइड. There is still demand for recognition on the basis of language, on the basis of ethnicity. जैसे आप बोडो वाला इशू देखो, असम में देखो, तो मतलब एथनिसिटी के बेसिस पे डिवीजन चाहिए लोगों को. नागामीती ट्राइब्स के इश्यूज देखो, तो अभी के टाइम पे भी ये कंसोलिडेशन, रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ स्टेट बाउंड्रीज आर स्टिल रेलिवेंट. That's why it is an important part, and especially after the ongoing crisis within the Indian subcontinent. नॉर्थ ईस्ट में इश्यूज़ हैं या फिर गोरखालैंड वाला इशू चल रहा है. सो यू नीड टू पे सम अटेंशन टू दिस. इफ़ यू वॉच दीज स्लाइड्स आई थिंक इट इज़ सफिशेंट. एक बार आप वापस से चैलेंजेस को ध्यान से देखना और अभी के जो कंटेम्प्रेरी इश्यूज़ हैं उसको आप कंसोलिडेट करने की कोशिश करना अपने नोट्स में. आई थिंक दैट वुड बी सफिशेंट. थैंक यू. हैव अ नाइस डे, एंड इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन प्लीज़ drop the question in your comment section and I will try to address them. Thank you. Bye bye.